Are you thinking about buying or selling a house, or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. We are sponsored by Bricks Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, Structure Tech Home Inspections, James Tolson with Country Financial, along with Cregan's Construction and Grey Duck Staging and Design. You can check us out online anytime at TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. There you will find all of our past shows, our weekly market updates, along with the latest and greatest searching and researching tools and our free publications. The Smart Home Buyer, the Smart Seller book, those are great resources, along with our new Bricks Report, tons of local market updates depending on what suburb that you're in. If you have any questions for us, you can always reach out. 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Would like to welcome Chad Preby, Bell Bank Mortgage, longtime host. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
And one of our regular guest hosts, Danny Dietl, owner of Bricks Real Estate. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Kirk.
Yeah, so, we mentioned past shows, but yet this is maybe the first show a lot of people are seeing because this is the first show we're having that's actually on TV. But we have been doing this for a while. I mean, you've been coming in, Chad, now for what, about 2.5, 3 years with the radio show?
Yeah, close to 3 years now.
Yep, and hence why we have the mics. We are still actually recording this for radio. We put this out every week, as well as for podcast and YouTube channel and all of that there. So if you're curious about what our show is and some of the history, we'll talk a bit about that, but you can check that out if you go to the TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com website. So today, being our first TV show, I kind of wanted to just talk about a little bit what this show is, what we discuss, and what we're trying to get out to everybody. So, a little bit of history of the show is we started on AM radio back in 2012 and had been going strong basically ever since, going on nine years, coming up on 10 soon.
The longest running show besides The Simpsons, correct?
Maybe Real Estate Show. I don't know. But we've also been kind of dedicated to putting out additional educational videos. Have about 200 of those that I've made over the years and got out there with what our Twin Cities market is doing. Mm-hmm. And then, Chad, you joined the show about 3 years ago?
Close to 3 years now, yep. Yeah.
And then, Danny, you've been coming in as a regular guest about the same timeline, I think.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of history about the real estate show. And we have the opportunity to come to TV, and we're very excited to do that, bring some of this information. So let's kind of just go around, do a little introduction of who we are in the industry and what we do. Start with you, Danny. How long ago did you get into this?
Oh, boy.
And what do you do?
What do I do? God, going on about 17 years now, I think. Does that sound about right?
I just know that you and Adam got in about the same time, right?
Yeah, so 05, 06, somewhere in there. Yeah, just been working at real estate ever since, and then obviously we started Bricks Real Estate here about 6.5 years ago now.
Yep.
Wear a couple hats, so have my own team, but also broker the company. And
Cool. Chad?
Yeah, Chad Preby. I work with Bell Mortgage. I got into doing mortgages about 20 years ago now and got my foot in the door as a loan processor. And then from there, got into the closing position. I was a closing manager and then got into being a loan officer. So a majority of my career in the mortgage business has been a loan officer. But over the last, probably since I joined down with you, Kirk, and the House Geeks, is really taking a liking in working with first-time home buyers and education, and that's really what this show is all about. Is not selling us or the companies we work for, but rather than educating you on the formula to be successful, and that's really what I've taken a liking to. And it's really neat when you can take a first-time home buyer, educate them, watch them buy their first home, and not have a ton of questions about what they just did.
Well, yeah,
or let me jump in on that. There was a report that came out that said almost 2/3 of millennials that bought homes in the last couple of years had buyer's remorse.
Wow.
Right? And so that's a combination of a lot of things. But an educated buyer is going to be an empowered buyer, and they're going to make decisions that are better for them than those that just they get stuck on a website.
The shotgun approach.
Homes are pretty and
right.
Yeah, but that's a huge number. So there's a right way to do it and a
wrong way to do it. Chad, we were just going through this. You're going through the process right now. You and I went through the formula, the happy home buying formula, and you're selling as well, right? So we're talking about putting that together, and it's just so easy to fall into the swiping photos trap.
Yes.
But you saw how quickly we were able to eliminate all these houses that would have never worked.
Exactly.
Right? Because we took the time to educate,
Exactly.
And we've been doing, along with the show, we've been doing home buyer education courses now for about 3-ish years.
Yeah.
Too. So.
Well, what's nice is now that we're getting back to, somewhat of a normal, everyday life, we can now meet with people and do our classes face to face, which is,
I'm excited.
I'm really looking forward to that. It's really good to meet people and get out there.
So I got into real estate a little different start. I got into remodeling and rehab of houses, kind of with I'm going to fix up and maybe have some rentals or fix up and sell some homes, and then just got into general renovation, not for my own properties as well. I learned a ton over the about 3-4 years I was working in that. And prior to that, I did a lot of construction stuff as well, but started to really focus on residential real estate. And I took that and I realized I loved finding homes. I loved seeing the possibilities. I loved finding the red flags and, hey, this is the one to walk away from. There, it isn't the right place. I loved all that. I hated working on them. It was not my forte.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and which is funny, I still love doing woodworking and all of that, but yeah, sheetrock and trim, it's just not up my alley. That's why when you said you wanted to do some renovations, I'm like, oh, have fun with that. So, yeah, and then I got my real estate license in 2008. Became a broker, I think, in 2017. And then I think I got my Wisconsin broker's license in 2019, if I remember correctly. And then, we started Bricks in 2015, right? Summer 2015?
Yep, April 1st.
I made the move. That's right.
Yep.
Summer. So let's talk briefly about Bricks. Obviously that's yours and my full-time job. But we created this company. We wanted to kind of step away a little bit from the big box models, which I think we obviously gained plenty of good experience from, but also saw where we could do some things better.
Yeah, just have more control over. The big thing for us is selectivity in who we work with, and there's just oftentimes with the big box approach, they'll take anybody. There's just different models, and we're very selective. You got to be full time or working towards full time or on a team if you're not. But just integrity, quality of work, and all those things are just so important to us. And you can only do that if you put in standards and have control, and it's not about being the biggest, but about just doing great work.
Right. And I know I was big into what we could do on the marketing side of things, because we're not spending all the money on these big fancy offices that sit vacant most of the time, that we could provide some really valuable marketing pieces and educational pieces to our agents, and then they can provide those to the clients. We have put together, we mentioned the publications, the Smart Home Buyer book, the Smart Seller book. So Smart Home Buyer basically goes from A to Z, the whole process. Danny, you mentioned you gave it to a client recently. I remember you posting in the Facebook group about what their reaction was to that.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who spends time with it, especially the earlier on in the process, oftentimes we run into a lot of people through sites like Zillow, that it is the pretty pictures that pulls them in, and they contact us and they want to get going, and they've been out looking at homes with 5 agents, and it's like, well, has anybody ever sat down with you and gone over the process? And honestly, some people just aren't even ready for that, or they think they know, or they feel like they're making a commitment. So it's just providing the tools for them. And what we found is just that book is just, it's a great icebreaker because it's high level enough without being overwhelming, where once they absorb that, they can then manage whatever they want to do. They want to work with us or somebody else. But it does broach the subject of what the process is going to be like in a much better way than, if you've been out with 5 agents and nobody's had a conversation with you about how the process works, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see that in this industry. I mean, there's just so many new agents, especially right now. As the market gets better and better, you have these agents that just, they get licensed and they want to be people pleasers. They're not intentionally trying to be harmful to the process, but sometimes they're accidentally harmful to the process by not sitting down and covering what you need to know. And this is a book that was, I helped author it along with a few other agents that got it together. And then everybody in the company gave input to get that book to print or online, wherever you want to grab it. And it's just a ton of great information, talking about clickbait and how to avoid that and what's the first thing the questions you should be asking and the things to be thinking about. Because, as you mentioned, the buyer's remorse, you don't want to have that. You don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break here. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about a couple of the publications, but get into where our market's at and where it's going.
Hi, I'm Ruben with Structure Tech Home Inspections. Everyone knows you should have a home inspection before you buy a home, but we've heard of home buyers being encouraged to skip the home inspection in this crazy market to make their purchase offer more attractive. Now they're facing tens of thousands of dollars in unexpected repairs. I'm telling you now, don't skip the home inspection. Here at Structure Tech, we can get your home inspected quickly, and we offer a full line of services. Visit us online at structuretech.com to learn more.
Don't fall for the billboards or the clickbait. There is no such thing as today's rate. Mortgages and mortgage rates are individual to you. Chad Preby and Eric Bloomstrand with Bell Bank Mortgage are here to show you the formula to get your best rate. Once you know this formula, you can mortgage shop with confidence. Find us online at chadpreby.com. That is chadpreby.com. NMLS 1462493, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall with Bricks Real Estate and the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Buying or selling a home is one of the biggest financial transactions people make. Before you make your next move, download our free Smart Home Buyer or Smart Seller guides to give you the edge in our real estate market. From deal hunting to knowing the right repairs for maximizing value, these free guides have it all. Check them out and more at brickstwincities.com under publications.
Not every title company is the same. There are many people involved with each real estate transaction, and all of them need to be in the loop or a closing may get delayed. This is why the people at Network Title strive to provide swift scheduling and communication between the buyers, sellers, agents, and lenders. We know moving can be stressful, however, your closing does not need to be. Check us out online at network-title.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall. You're watching or listening to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. Today, we've been talking a little bit about what this show is, as a lot of people this may be their first time seeing it, as this is our first episode on the CW. Mm-hmm. And if you're listening to this, want to catch the show, you can Friday mornings, 8:30, CW23, local channel here. So with the show, one of the things we talked about education, and that's really what this show is about. Where is our market currently at? Where is it going? Where has it been and why has it been there? To give some understanding, because for a lot of the media, their news stories on the market tend to be lagging behind where the market is. I mean, Danny, you've been watching the market from working in this longer than I've been in the business. I mean, wouldn't you say that that's the case from what you see? You know, by the time they're saying it's a really hot market, it's basically past.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Once they get to it, I mean, there might be some truths to it, but it does. They do tend to miss the mark. It's certainly when it starts to transition, they tend to be late to it. So they might be accurate for a while, but when that transition happens, they're like, I mean, even what's happened over the last week and a half, I mean, it's even caught some of us off guard, right? And it can be almost instant when it happens.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, you know, I do the data for the show, get it all put together, and run the data for the company as to where the market trends are going and our performance trends and all of that. And it does change on a weekly basis. I mean, last year when I had a little downtime for the couple of months where things weren't as fast, I worked on putting together kind of a better formula for calculating the market. And this is what I call the market meter. And we'll bring that in later shows. But kind of the short breakdown is you'll have agents argue, what is the scale? Is it months supply of inventory? Is it the showings per listing? Is it affordability? What gauge is it? Well, it's all of them.
Right.
So how do you come up with something that shows you where is our market at this moment in time? And by using that and using the data that's coming in, you can kind of see where it's going to go. One of the things that I thought was the coolest is where we were looking at the market meter once I figured out the calculation, and we knew where pricing would go in about 2 months.
Right.
Which I thought was awesome.
And most of the news will focus on the big metrics, so pendings and solds,
right?
Which just absolutely do not tell the story.
No, not at all.
But I mean, you know, I used to kid you about it. Broken record. Average showings per listing per week, average listings per showing per week, and it really does have a lot of information, or it's just it's kind of a gateway into seeing what's coming.
Yeah, it is, but it's not the only piece.
No,
I learned that too. I was so hard nosed on I thought it was the only piece, and I realized that you got to put these other pieces in there too,
right.
And it definitely makes a big difference. So the market meter. I want to talk a little bit about the market because there is misinformation that's currently out there with where our market is. So first off, we are still in a pretty strong seller's market, but it's not as strong as it was 11 weeks ago. We've basically slowed down by almost 50%. And if you want to see the data behind this, again, go to the TwinCitiesRealEstateShow.com. That's where these videos get uploaded. That we do a short 4 or 5 minute video of exactly, basically the charts to show where the market is. But how is it we got to this extreme? Because where we were 11 weeks ago was the fastest moving market that I can find any records of. I mean, would you say it's the most competitive you've ever experienced, Danny?
Oh, yeah. And this is coming off 7 years of being a seller's market.
Yeah.
It's, once we hit January 1st, it just completely took off.
Yeah. I mean, the market meter went from, I think, like a 7 to a 10 almost like overnight.
Pretty much blew it up.
It did. Yeah. And we've been at that 10 for the last almost 4 months,
Right.
So,
and with that, this might be kind of a dumb analogy, but as you get like acclimated to different weather, so if you've had 90-degree weather, and then all of a sudden it drops to 70 is going to feel chilly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're coming from 50 degrees to 70, 70 feels hot. So we're having a little bit of things calm down a little bit. And it doesn't feel like we're still a 10 out of 10 on the seller's market meter.
Yeah,
but we are.
And we're saying this only because only 50% of the homes are going into multiple offers.
Right. But it really is a drastic. If you would have looked at the data relative to almost any other point ever, we would be like, oh my God, this is the fastest moving market ever. Mm-hmm. But because we're coming off an even more incredible one,
I honestly
it still feels like, oh my God, we've had a drastic shift, and we've had a shift. It's not as drastic as we think, but it is a change.
Yeah, I thought last July's market was the hottest market I've ever seen.
Right.
You know, where it seemed like
it was at the time.
It was. Yeah. And so, you know, we see these big changes. Well, how did this all happen? How did we get into this extreme seller's market? So you know, when the pandemic happened, basically it put a stop. We were actually on a pretty good track to probably have more listings on the market than in 2019 and 2020. At the rate the listings were coming on, we should have been there. But instead, it just was like a cold stop to the market at that point. But the buyers didn't really stop. There was a brief kind of hold. What would you say? Probably 60, 70% of the buyers we were working with at that time decided to just, I don't know about my job.
Well, there was a lot of uncertainty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jobs.
Rates spiked.
What is COVID? You know, is this going to kill me, or, you know, what's going on? And,
right.
And ultimately, gosh, the mortgage rates, we were doing amazing with mortgage rates, right, before COVID. And all of a sudden the market didn't know what to do. So mortgage rates spiked for a few weeks, and then they went back down, and then they spiked. So they were doing that like within minutes. So
and they're changing guidelines too,
lending changing. And there was just a lot of things that obviously none of us have dealt with before due to COVID. You know, so I think fear. Talking to clients is just fear not knowing what's going to happen next, right? Do I have a job to pay for a mortgage, or, you know?
Well, I mean, look at the stock market in, what was it, March? I mean, it would drop, was it almost 40%?
It was huge.
I mean, nobody had any idea if it would drop another 40%. And
right.
It, bounce back pretty quickly. But, I mean, this thing could have gone either way.
I was nervous. You know, in going through, 2008, 2009, obviously totally different situation. But, I went, and a lot of us did, obviously, in the industry at the time, went from doing really good to overnight looking for a different career, right? And that was in the back of my mind with COVID. It's like, oh, my gosh, what am I going to do for my family? How is this going to work out? And then put yourself into the client's shoes that you've been working with for weeks or months, trying to educate them on what's going on. I mean, talk about a hard situation, because it's hard to educate when you don't know exactly, right?
Right. Yeah, everybody's making predictions and guesses, but there's literally a million variables.
Right. And there still kind of is. I mean, I know things are changing, right? We got the mask mandate lifted and things are loosening up, but I think there's still a pretty decent amount of people out there with that uncertainty feeling like, I just don't know, right? Whether they want to sell or they're getting close to retirement. The neighborhood I live in, we have a lot of people that are just retiring or getting close to retiring that probably want to move on and sell, but that the affordability factor maybe is holding them back, or there's, everybody's different, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of these baby boomers that are probably staying still.
Yeah, well, I mean, not really much for condo construction last year. Townhouse, a single, like everything kind of sitting tight. So, we had that couple months, and then buyers realized they needed a little more elbow room. They needed to get out of their apartments. And this is kind of everybody. If they didn't have a home office, they wanted a home office. So then, it's like everybody wanted to buy a single family home. So the single family market took way off, but the condo market didn't do so hot last year, really kind of slipped. People didn't want to be in close proximity to a lot of people, obviously the share amenities and all that was closed down. So the buyers really jumped to the single family and pounced on that, but no new listings were really coming on. Right. Because the sellers didn't realize that that this demand was there, or if they did realize it, they couldn't find anything because the demand was there. So we started, mid-year last year with a really, short, maybe 30-40% on supply, and then rates kept going down.
Right.
I mean, it just ended up being the perfect storm to create this incredible market. Got, just about a minute left here. Just want to touch, okay, so we got short inventory. That created the extreme sellers market. Well, now where are we going? Well, the data shows 11 weeks running of slowing activity. Not a surprise, typical, seasonal for this time of year. It's just we're coming off a really, really big high. To your point, Danny, was it feels a lot slower, but still a really good market for sellers. But if I was a buyer out there, I'd definitely be starting to get involved in the market at this point because you're having more and more inventory. We're going to level off a bit. We're going to kind of get into I expect the market meter to move and hold in the 7s range within a few weeks. I know, Danny, you're still going to win that steak dinner bet I made you. It didn't get there as fast as I was hoping. But I do see the numbers getting us there.
Right.
So, where inventory goes, that's hard. I mean, we may have another incredible spring market next year. It really depends on inventory and how it may come up. We're not expecting a big influx of foreclosures or anything like that. And as long as the market stays short on this inventory, it's not a bubble. This happened because of supply and demand. And so there's not going to be any big burst. We'll see seasonal slowdown. All right, everybody, we'll be back again next week.
My name is James Tobson with Country Financial. Anyone can sell you insurance. However, is it going to be the insurance you need? When life pops up with its surprises, you want the right coverage. When it comes time to find or renew your policy, give me a call. I would love to review your existing policy and show you what I can do for you. You can email me at james.tobson@countryfinancial.com or give me a call at 651-365-3408.
Not every title company is the same. There are many people involved with each real estate transaction, and all of them need to be in the loop or a closing may get delayed. This is why the people at Network Title strive to provide swift scheduling and communication between the buyers, sellers, agents, and lenders. We know moving can be stressful, however, your closing does not need to be. Check us out online at network-title.com.
People always ask realtors, what is your commission? But what they should be asking is, what is your rate of return? Commissions only vary by a couple of % from agent to agent. However, the price per square foot you get just based on their experience and the quality of marketing they use can vary by 10% or more. At Bricks Real Estate, our agents use the right marketing and have the experience to get you top dollar for your house. See what we can do for you at brickstwincities.com.
Hi, I'm Becca, owner of Grey Duck Staging. With today's home buyers beginning their journey exclusively online, the look and feel of your home matters more than ever. Whether it's a simple in-home consultation, a refresh using your current furniture, or a whole home staging, our goal is always the same: showing your home in the best light and helping you achieve the highest sales price possible. To learn more, visit us at greyduckstaging.com or check us out on Instagram at greyduckstaging.